Welcome to the Emerging Vendors Podcast. I'm your host, Paco Lebron. Join us in this new Pitch It program podcast series as we highlight a new and emerging vendor who is changing the game and is making a big impact in the MSP space. Let me go ahead and introduce my co-host. We actually have none other than Sean.lardo from Evangelist over at ConnectWise. How are you doing today, Sean?
I'm doing great, man. How are you?
You know, I can't complain. I am trying to warm up as best as possible on this Friday afternoon, but I'm glad that you're here because now things will get fun and nice and toasty, as we would like to say.
And heat it up. Yeah,
no,
dude. Yeah, I'm just looking at I'm looking at my weather right now. It says 15 degrees and feels like 0. That's exactly the exact weather as of right this moment, and it's sunny out though, which is sad because like you can see out that side, it's sunny
nice.
on the window, but. Dude, I went outside for 2 minutes. I'm like, yeah, we're done. Just the dog looked at me. He's like, no.
I ran outside and then it was actually 2 degrees this morning. Felt like negative, I think it was 2 or 0 degrees. It's now 10 degrees and supposedly it feels like 19, which I think are lies. But we will see how that all goes for there. We're going to be joined by Adam Walter, president over at HumanizeIT, later on today. But before we go into, really what about of this new series and the show, I'd like to take a quick minute to talk about my favorite thing, as we've heard all week, and that is TechCon Unplugged. TechCon Unplugged will be in Woodbridge, New Jersey, September 7th through the 10th at the Delta Hotels Woodbridge. Join us for an evening mixer that's going to kick off 2.5 days of content to help better your business, save money, save time, and most importantly, improve your services. This show is for any size IT solution provider. So whether you are an emerging MSP or you're a veteran in the space, this is the place for you. Tickets are on sale now for early bird pricing at $199. Head over to techconunplugged.com and we will see you there. All right, Sean, outside of our little shameless plug there, really excited to start this new series. I'm glad you're here as my co-host. Obviously, Rick Smith will be kind of in and out in my place as we kind of talk to a lot of these great emerging vendors. Here at MSP Unplugged, we're always very specific and have a huge just a connection with not only emerging MSPs trying to kind of figure out their own process, their lay of the land, and just really trying to get understanding of this industry. But we also love talking and working with emerging vendors because they're kind of in the same camp, but they have such a great offering that sometimes, a lot of people just don't know that they're around, A, but B, the amount of great things that they can do to impact that. And obviously ConnectWise has done a great program to try and highlight a lot of these emerging vendors as well. I know that's your baby. I know that last year was a great event over at IT Nation, but I'll let you kind of talk a little bit more about Pitch It and what that program is all about.
Sure. So, before I get into all the details even of it, something you said is spot on, is that, MSPs that are coming to market or even mature MSPs, doesn't matter. The benefit of this, of looking at something at Pitch It, is their stack alignment is a major conversation we always have, right? It's one of the biggest conversations you have. And when you go to, it's no secret, when you go to conferences, you're seeing 150 to 200 vendors. That's what you see at a conference. And you're usually seeing the biggest ones first. They have the biggest booths. They have the most space. It's a fact, right? We know that. Actually, this past year at IT Nation Connect, we actually kind of changed the rules on that a little bit to try to give more space, because these emerging vendors are happening more rapidly. And, especially when we were going through COVID and the digitalization occurred, it wasn't just the big guys anymore. It was a bunch of companies rising up because of the cloud transformation. It almost became impossible. You see bigger companies struggling. They can't make that. They can't pivot. They're not agile, right? So, coming into it, you're noticing that these emerging vendors are becoming very prominent. They're growing very fast. You saw a ton of acquisitions the last couple of years too on these companies, that had matured enough and were acquired and by bigger companies. So, the Pitch It program itself is a way for us to start to search for these companies, and the point behind it all for us is, Jason McGee 2 years ago made the promise of, 3 promises. He said, look, we're going to make it easier to do business. We're going to invest even more in the partners' growth, and we're going to look for more innovations faster, right? That's it. So the Pitch It program actually aligns with all 3. Okay, it really does. But the thing is, back to that stack alignment piece, MSPs are constantly looking for the right companies. They don't know where to find them. There's tons of companies that promote themselves, whether they're good, bad, or indifferent. I had a conversation the other day with somebody that was talking about, are these companies a coin operated business? Are they going to be gone tomorrow? Because we don't want to do stuff with them if they're going to be gone. We've had companies come into the space and they were there for a week, and then they got all this buzz, people started buying, and then they bailed. That's never good for business. So we vet them out. We make sure they have lasting they have long lasting relationships and staying power. If they don't, they're not part of this. So we are vetting them. ConnectWise is vetting them. When they're part of the program, they're also looking to invest more into the ecosystem. So it's not just where we're giving them; they're giving us a lot in return. So again, mutual investments that leads for long-term, strong, lasting relationships. It's good for the partners. But the program itself, getting right into that, is it's a 16-week accelerator program. It's an incubator program. We have workshops every single week. We'll be bringing Cameo coaches for them. All the vendors that we do accept application-wise. And they're required to go through every workshop, whether it's about business analysis, market share, sales, marketing, integrations, mergers and acquisitions. It's all the stuff they would need, that you would want as a kit to figure out how to start your business, right? Yeah. And they go through that. Not only that, though, they do webinars like this too, where they get to work on their speak and their pitch. The goal behind everything at the end of this is that yes, we have prize money. We know we do. First place is 70,000. Second place is 30,000, right? We know that exists. But if you're only in it for that money, you've really missed the whole concept of this program, which is to get you into an ecosystem to have growth, to have the ability to be scalable. That's what this is for. So the goal behind it is to win 70 grand. But we know in a startup business, 70 grand is nothing. It's something. 70 grand is great to win, but it's not everything. You're looking to try to get $1 million MRR if you can, right? So like I said, 16-week accelerator program. What we do at the end of the 16 weeks is we do a preliminary pitch off virtual, where we allow the MSPs to vote on it. And then we also have judges that are looking to make sure everything aligns with the ecosystem and integrations and whatnot too, that judge them. And from the large group of all the contestants, we narrow it down to 3. The 3 finalists get head coaches, and they spend a couple months with them. And at the end, they're at IT Nation Connect pitching live for the championship. Again, the reason why this program works this long is because it takes a long time for maturity to occur and nurturing to happen. So it's a win-win for us as far as we're concerned, because we end up finding very good vendors. We find things that partners are looking for.
Yeah. I think there's 2 things in that really spoke on, building relationships, right? And understanding how to fruition that relationship, and just in general, like relationship building on a sales tactic, on a partner tactic, and we'll talk about tactics here in a little bit later, but really it's a matter of how do you benefit from that relationship, because, everyone is always looking at a vendor as a transactional piece in their business when they shouldn't. And those that really get it, understand building that relationship is huge on that point. But you also said something specific, which I think, unfortunately gives emerging vendors a bad name. But the point is that that's why this program exists, is that, sometimes there are MSPs or IT solution providers that want to, give an emerging vendor a chance, but they're concerned. They just came into the space. Are they going to be around? And so that vetting process through the program definitely helps in that whole process as well. But, Sean, I'm super excited to talk to Adam and kind of really get into a lot of the meat into exactly on how this pitcher program kind of worked, along with just knowing more about what Adam does over at HumanizeIT. But for anyone there, I'd like to introduce again, or as I mentioned earlier, but introducing for the first time, Adam Walter over at HumanizeIT. Adam, how are you today?
Good. I'd like to just plug in that here in Nebraska, it is a balmy 32 degrees, which is what we refer to as car washing weather.
Yes.
Anything above 32.
Anything above 32, you see a line of cars as we're all trying to get the salt and grime off our cars. You guys know how it is. We've been around 10 degrees for so long.
Dude, my buddy of mine, he's like, hey, what do you do? Just before I got on the call, he's like, what are you doing this weekend? I was like, I don't know, man. It's kind of cold. He goes, no, it's going to be 40 on Sunday. We should go outside and play cornhole. And I'm like, first spring day. Of course we should. That's a spring day, dude. Coming out of this weather, 40, 45. It's a real nice. You're right. So
That's
yeah,
hilarious.
that's sad. But hey, what's up, Adam?
I'm doing well. I'm doing well. Enjoying the conversation and looking forward to talking more about Pitch It. It was a great experience for us. So
Awesome. Well, Adam, why don't you tell us a little bit about HumanizeIT, or actually, before we even go into that, why don't you tell us a little bit about yourself? Let's get an origin story from you and how you found yourself toward and getting into and obviously developing HumanizeIT.
yeah, I mean, I'm your typical corporate junkie. I got a Bachelor of Science in Computer Science in 2002. Moved in to work for the State Patrol doing an analyst PC repair. So I actually have, at the time I was at State Patrol, I was the only tech because there was nobody around. So I did a lot. And I had replaced every PC and worked with every sergeant area in the state of Nebraska, which is huge. And then I moved into the private sector, doing security for and open source for bank marketing firms. And then I moved on into the student loan industry, worked at my first large corporate job, climbed my ladder there. And then I moved into cloud migrations for like a East Coast company or West Coast company. And then I started doing critical infrastructure security. I was a director there for a number of years. And I realized that I really missed working with small businesses. I feel like you feel like you have more value when you work with small businesses than corporations. Corporations are great for a paycheck. So my wife said, why don't you go ahead and burn out, just call it good, and then go back to working with small businesses. So I decided that I was going to take my leadership experience that I'd gotten from the corporate world of talking to boards, executives, and all that stuff, and bring it to the small business and help them get an advantage. And when I did that, I was able to find this thing called VCIO. I had no idea what this thing was. And I learned about MSPs and how they worked. And I started representing school districts to MSPs to help understand what the school district actually wanted. And I used this really cool software called Managed Services Platform. And they had all these great reports I could print out, and I could show a client what their value was, where their gaps were, the stack alignment. And then I'd hand off all the crap work to an MSP. I said, hey, here's an $8,000 contract. I don't want it. I'm done. I'd ride off into the sunset and do it for the next school. And so we did really well our first couple of years. So well, we were doing like 36,000 MRR. Our first couple of years is what we averaged for like a 2-man shop. And then we said, the guy who owned Managed Service Platform said, hey, do you just want to buy the platform from us? You're doing great. You're coaching people, MSPs doing this, developing their own VCIOs. I said, sure. And so in 2021, I used the proceeds that I had built from my business to buy Managed Services Platform and then meld it with my consulting practice so that we could deliver what we had been doing for small businesses and allow MSPs to have that greater impact. Because one of my original things I wanted to do when I set out from the corporate world was I wanted to change how IT was done, because we discovered that in IT, you could take a level 1 tech and you could turn them into a business analyst level employee just by letting them go on ride-alongs with employees. Just let them go out and see what's going on. And this tech would come back with great ideas. And so we had this idea of like, if your MSP knew what your business was, your clients were trying to accomplish as a business, every employee at your MSP would be like, why aren't they doing this instead? They could be doing so much more. And so solving those business problems by putting them in front of really smart technical people is what allows us to help small businesses succeed. And so with the tool and our coaching, we merged it into the HumanizeIT platform. It took us from 2021 April until November of last year to finish the revamp. So if you guys go out to our website right now, managedservicesplatform.com, you'll see the revamp and you'll see the simplified tool set that allows you to take the business problems and put them in front of your technical employees so you can make awesome recommendations that result in more profitability and more sales.
That's awesome.
Done.
Now, mic drop. So obviously, and that's amazing, right? And I definitely got a lot of questions for you on the HumanizeIT and the managed services platform. Now, as far as you mentioned that you took over the platform, you had to develop it through the process. Obviously, this is also the same time you were in the Pitch It program as well. How has that alleviated or helped you in how you were trying to frame and kind of develop HumanizeIT? Can you tell us a little bit about how you went through the program and how, and anywhere throughout that program, what were some of the benefits and what had benefited the entire company by going through the program?
We'd already had a relationship with ConnectWise before, and I got into the Invent program to help us improve our relationship with how we were sourcing data and putting it into our tool. We wanted to make better ways and see if there were more efficient ways to get data in front of account managers so that they could have better relationships with clients. And as somebody who came from the corporate world, I came from an entirely different world of PSAs than most people did. Like, so I had to learn as much as I could, as fast as I could. And an event really helped me with that. And while I was in there, I can't remember who it was, said, you should apply to the event or to the Pitch It program. And I said, well, what's that? And they explained it to me. I'm like, oh, that'd be awesome. That'd be a great way to get to know how the MSP industry works, you know, how it differs from the corporate world, and then build some great relationships that will give me further insights into like other vendors and how they're solving the same problems I'm solving. We may have different products, but we're still talking to the same people and trying to figure out how to get them to a better place. And so over the period of the Pitch It program, my goal was to create those relationships, foster them, and keep them with me, win or lose.
Nice. Very awesome. Now, Sean, when it came to the Pitch It program and really, really the key core of the program is obviously helping the emerging vendors in every different facet. When it came to the finalists and here at HumanizeIT, what would you say was probably the strongest help or positioning that Pitch It did for a lot of emerging vendors that may not, and I'm talking about emerging vendors in total, that may be watching and maybe considering it. How has this really helped those kind of through that 16-week program?
Sure. So like I mentioned before, when the 16 weeks was a combination of a bunch of different workshops. And Adam is a great example of one thing that stood out, which was the persona of an MSP. That was one of his missions. Two things that Adam wanted to accomplish in the program or just in general was understanding who the people were that were going to use this better, getting in their shoes. Two was, because he was new into the space, start to meet all the people so that he can actually engage and learn more. Again, learning more, then to return around and deliver better, right? So that was the goal for him. Across the board, though, every one of them, I would say the first takeaway for being in it is, yes, the education is really nice to have. And when we built the program around this, there's no way of telling what education one person would want from it. So that's why we went as broad as we could with every element of running a business that they should have between, like I said, sales, marketing, mergers, acquisitions, take your pick. Like, I don't know what's going to be the silver bullet for Adam, right? There's no way of me knowing that coming into it. But if I give enough variety, something's going to, every single class or workshop benefited you in some way if you paid attention. It's like in anything, right? But the other real big takeaway is the fact of the coaching through the program, through our ecosystem, because that is probably the hardest thing you can do, is understand how to thrive and succeed in ecosystems that are very vast like this. Yeah. If you look back at when eBay started to pop up and everybody started to get on there, you have tons of people that failed miserably on eBay, but the people that succeeded learned how to use it and leverage it and navigate it. And that's the thing that they have to understand. And there's no way of using our ecosystem if you don't provide a product that makes sense or a service that makes sense, and you're not there for the long haul, and you're not user-friendly, business-friendly. If you're not those things, you're not going to make it. And plus, Paco, you're not going to introduce people to space that are not good for the mass, right? For the majority, right. You're not. Neither are we. So that, you take away the education, you take away the exposure, and it really comes down to you learn how to navigate and really take advantage of the system that you're in, how to grow in it. And actually, I became most aware of that from Adam's comments to me a month or two ago when he said, listen, we could be in other areas, but we know that there's so much here in ConnectWise. If we learn how to just invest wisely here, we'll have enough business to do everything we want to do. We don't have to go anywhere else yet. Maybe at some point he will, but he can stay right here and grow his business to where he wants it to be and be effective and be a contributing vendor and partner for forever, really. So that's it.
Yeah, no, all great points. Now, Adam, when it comes to obviously the platform and how you are obviously trying to make an impact to MSPs as they're kind of doing just their day-to-day or just providing good quality of services to their client, how have you seen the platform either save clients time, help them save money, or improve services? For you, where does HumanizeIT land, if not all three? But how have you seen that impact to your clients and partners so far?
Yeah, so we were actually in channel. Shameless plug out the channel program out there, Matt Solomon, and they did a great job of like when you pitched there. Probably the most valuable thing I did there was the fact that I got to see what MSPs voted us as. Like, so we had over 100 MSPs. Like it's a little scary because you're like, is my message resonating? So what we found there, and this was also a nitpick with me when I did my pitch at Pitch It was, what are you bringing to the table? This exact same question you just asked. And one of the things is we talk about how our tool saves you time. It used to be like managed services platform took like 4 months to implement because you had to define your stack, you had to get everything in place, and it took you forever. And by the time people got it going, they just had almost given up. It just took too long. So one of our core things that when we bought managed services platform, Skip and I spent months distilling down what does an MSP actually need to do, and we did it for them. We built a generic stack that somebody could just walk in and say, okay, give me let's look and see what you have here. Do you have this kind of server? Do you have Office 365? Is it a subscription, or is it you still running 2003 one-off licenses? And these basic problems that you need to solve for a small business. And we distilled that down for you. So we save you time in that we have built a stack, and you can just modify it just a little bit, and you are ready to go with the full stack adoption right there. And then we don't save you money. I have a frustration with that operational efficiency. There's a lot of operational efficiency tools out there that will save you pennies. We make you dollars. So when we're at Channel Program, one of the things we noticed was is that if you go to their channel charts, we actually increase revenue and profitability. So we make you money, because what happens is using our framework in our community, you're going to build better relationships with your clients to have more alignment, to know which projects to sell them. You don't need to come up with new projects and new solutions. You need to take your existing 10,000 projects and figure out which one of them your client needs right now that's going to help their business, which instantly improves profitability. We give you testimonials from a bunch of our members who will swear like they took 8 months, 10 months to actually start having the conversations we said. And they're like, I didn't know it was this easy. I just need to talk to my client. I'm like, yes, you can do everything our product does with a Big Chief notebook and a number 2 pencil. We just make it easier. And your last one was service delivery. With our tool, we do road mapping. We save you time with a budget analysis tool that allows you to create a budget and export it in a few seconds. So you can do it in the meeting with your client. So you can negotiate on which things need to be done right now, export a proposal, and it's to them. Rather than spending 8 hours quoting something out, you can just create a proposal, send to QuoteWorks later. Nice. And so we save you time, but we have that stack alignment and that service alignment, because now your client has a higher perceived value of you, because you're not putting random projects in front of them, whatever the greatest deal from Cisco is today. Instead, you're telling them, hey, we can make it easier for your users to work from home, and I know that's a priority for you. Here are the projects we need to work on to get that done. It's going to cost you $25,000. Are you okay with that? And then you talk to them. You just talk about things that they care about in their business. And so we do all three. And it happens really quickly, and it happens in about an hour. If you adopted our product today, you could be doing this with your client tomorrow.
That's awesome. Now, you did mention obviously with your members and how, they're just seeing that value, right, as they kind of dive in. Can you walk us through a little bit about how, someone that decides, hey, this is day one, I want to engage with HumanizeIT. How does that process work, and how of ease of access does it take for them to kind of either just talk with you, get a demo / get enrolled with the product? What would you say that time frame goes, and how does that whole preparation and onboarding look like?
One of our big goals was, again, is to make it easier, because I was an engineer. I knew there were great solutions out there. I ain't got time for that. I'm too busy delivering. I'm too busy being stuck behind servers, warming my hands up in data centers. I am not that far removed from my engineering days. But I want to make things easier for people. So it used to be weeks. Now it is go to our website, click enroll now. You are instantly in the program. We just released a 30-day free trial. In that trial, you get a human. Skip Ziegler or I or somebody on the team will reach out to you and give you a demo, and then walk with you to help you adopt your stack. That's free coaching, people, if you cancel in the trial. You will not be billed till the end. So you just go in, you click, you instantly have the dashboards. which are shareable with your clients, you instantly have access to our basic stack alignments, our financial analysis tool. You can integrate with ConnectWise, and you can be up and running in an hour.
That's awesome. I think that speaks to on just the fact of what you've said on, your main goal has been obviously ease of access, but obviously trying to make impact for your clients and for your members as well. The fact that you could just click a button and roll and get right into the platform just speaks to how much resistance barriers that you've removed. I know, Sean, your entire life has been VP of development and just all kinds of, and trying to onboard on different, right. Exactly. So, I'll let you kind of go into on how much of a big deal that is. Cause I don't think the audience knows that, yeah, you can sign up and go from there. And I think they take for granted that ability for a lot of platforms. It's like HumanizeIT as well.
Yeah, no, you're spot on. That every single company is looking. There's a couple questions you always have to answer in a set when you want somebody to work with you or buy from you. The questions are always the same. How much does it cost? How much access do I get? How easy is it to implement? What's my investment going to be for time? Is it going to break anything? Is it going to line? Those are the basic things, right? And so for me, my whole career has been around how to simplify people working with people, basically. And that's just it. Like everything around that, because if you can simplify things and you can remove the barriers, like you said, we're getting to brass tacks. We're getting to, all I want to do if I'm a small business and I'm going to invest in anything, I want to make sure I can get into production as fast as possible. I need to start because I don't have a luxury of sitting back on a $1 billion, golden parachute. I have my life. I got to pay for my daughter's college, or I got to pay for a wedding, or God knows what, right? So you don't have
a Patrick parachute right now, right?
Yeah, it's
some jeans in there, some
it's like it's more like an Afghan kind of. There's not like really anything stopping me. So it's so important for on two sides here. This is important. One is the removing of the barrier, making it easy to work with you, right? Two is you having enough confidence to think that here's a free trial, you're going to see it and love me, and you're going to work with me. That's basically what you're saying, and that's what I always want to. Anything I ever represented company-wise, I've always bet out any company I've worked with. I don't work with anybody unless I know that they're legitimate. So I always can stand on stage or in front of people and without even blinking an eye say, yeah, you should work with us because we're freaking awesome. Our differentiator is we're just better, and that's what you have to do in this business. You have to, and that confidence always comes off to people as, what, I probably should at least look at it once. And what you're saying is you look at it once, you're going to stay with me.
Yep. Right. Now, Adam, as we kind of round out the episode here and really talking and diving in, and I appreciate your time here talking with HumanizeIT and everything you guys are doing over there, is there anything that you'd like to leave with the listeners today, specifically on the platform, working with you all, or just honestly, the value of working with you? Because there may be some others in the space, but you've taken pride on really trying to make that impact to a lot of your clients. Anything you'd like to share before we go on with our lasting thoughts?
Yeah, two things. I pride myself in being genuine. I'm a very straightforward person, and I'm trying to be out there in the forums and trying to be out there and engaging with MSPs and let them know, like, I'm not a charlatan. I'm not here to give you lip service. I'm here to actually be genuine and help. Sometimes I'm troubleshooting people and helping them with their firewalls. But my big love is business strategy. I discovered that halfway through my career. And so I had 15 years under my belt as an engineer before I realized that I really love business strategy. That's actually what I really enjoy doing and working with people. And I want to deliver that. And I want you to deliver that to your clients as well. So the relationship that we have with you is a relationship we want you to have with your clients, where you're genuine and you genuinely care about what they're doing. And so when you work with us, you're working with somebody who genuinely wants to change how MSPs are seen. I genuinely want MSPs to help small businesses change the world. Small businesses are out there working with people all over the place, and IT companies like MSPs have the power to help those small businesses just make massive change in this world. And if we don't have those business conversations, if we're not genuine with our customers, then they won't get those advantages, and they're going to get drowned out by other people.
No, I think you couldn't have said it any better. I think the fact that, having and you said a couple of things, but I think specifically, what strikes there and just to drive home is the fact of embracing that community, being where they are, listening to what they have to say, understanding, being in the position to be agile, and making sure you implement things that you feel are going to cause a lot of impact to really help those that are going to be using the platform, but B, also obviously being open to understanding, like you just said, hey, I may not know everything, but I'm going to make sure I try my damnedest to really listen to the community and provide them what they have to say. But Adam, really appreciate you coming out to talk to us today. If there are anyone who's listening that wants to maybe reach out to you or just try out the product as well, or just, maybe they don't even know where they got to start, and maybe you got to have kind of give them that guiding force to understand on how to provide better and impactful conversations with their clients, what's the best way that they can reach you?
ManagedServicesPlatform.com. Click on the demo button or click enroll now. You can always email me at adam@humanizeit.biz or come to ASCII this month or Taylor Business Group, and we'll be around.
Nice. Both very great events coming up as well. Sean, any insightful lasting words before we end the show here?
So first, make it aware that application enrollment period is open for Pitch It for vendors. So it goes up until the end of April. We just announced it on February 1st. So any vendor that's interested, IT Nation, Pitch It, Google it, you'll find it, no problem. The other thing is, I would say, and I'll give kudos to Adam. It's not giving kudos, it's just acknowledging. And, he said he's humble. He is. He always asks for help. He's very thorough. He is trying to help. He's very much opinionated, that's for sure. But it's not opinion a bad thing. It's always a good thing. And all his opinions come with feedback on how to improve. And that was the one thing we tried to do going into the last season was the first time we did it the way we did it last year. And I was like, hey, we want feedback from you guys. We need it. We need to know how we can improve. And he had no problem giving constant feedback on a regular basis all the time, in other words. So I appreciate that. But no, last thing to say is, if you're an MSP or a vendor, you should be looking into programs like this. Pitch It is solid, but really it's only solid because of the people that we worked within it, within the vendors, within the people that competed, like Adam and everybody else, along with all the coaches that were involved that were all from the space, and our internal team. I mean, we were blessed to have what we had, and so this year should be better. Oh, we'll be. Not even should be. It will be better.
Don't do it alone, people. And Pitch It will help you develop those relationships, so you don't have to do it alone anymore.
Absolutely. Adam's Adam, his coach that helped him was Callan Sapien, and they're like bosom buddies. And Callan knows the space, man. If that guy he's a stud in the space. He knows what he's talking about. So, and that's just one of many.
Yeah. No, that's great. We'll make sure we definitely have that information in the show notes, how to apply. If you are a emerging vendor listening in and want to apply for that program, we'll make sure we have that in there as well when this episode releases and every other future in the series as well. But again, Adam, really appreciate you coming out here. Sean, always a pleasure as my compadre on this new series that we got going on. But Absolutely. If you are liking what you hear, tune in every Friday to catch more of this series. Watch the video podcast on youtube.com/MSP Unplugged. Like, subscribe, hit that notification button to be notified whenever a new episode is available. We want to say thank you again for watching, and we will see you next time on MSP Unplugged.